Good morning. Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. So I'm ready to do some decorative stitching on my panel here. So I'm just threading up once again with the same thread that I've been using through the whole project, which is a crochet cotton or a cotton pearl number 8, just the cream. So just keep that in there. Now, before I forget, I want to show you how they do a stitch. What am I trying to say? How you what am I trying to say? How you do this type of Sashiko stitching without a knot, and I'd already put a knot in. So remember I said there was a little video that I had pop up. YouTube found it and suggested it to me, obviously because I've been watching videos. So this is how the traditional method is done, which I did not know until I saw this video. So you don't put a knot in and you leave the thread hang out like so. Then you come back through coming up over your stitches that you just laid down. The lady made it look quick and simple, but I'm just going to take my time. That little end is hanging there. See, there's no knot, and then away you go. That's it. How simple is that? That's the traditional way of doing it. Now, if you finish your thread, so then you just give that a little finger press and then you snip this off. That's it. What it does give you is it's a little thicker here where you started because you've gone over yourself. Does that make sense? So let's say you run out of thread and you get to the point, say that's cut there and you've just run out of thread. The same system applies. You get your new thread and you would come here and you'd go past it and then back and away. And when you're finishing, you do a U-turn back on yourself and then snip your thread off. Does that make sense? The little video demonstrates the whole process. So if you're interested, go over and check it out because it's very good. She doesn't speak in the video, but you certainly can see, you know, the process of what she's doing. And then if you were to turn the cloth over, you can't really see it on mine because I've got so many layers. You get a very nice finish on the back because you don't have that bulky knot anywhere. So I thought, wow, there you go. Learned something new. Sort of like you come back on yourself when you're finishing. So I'll just do the perimeter. I decided that I wouldn't go find a blue thread because I just don't want to introduce another thread colour, not at this stage. We're sort of, you know, halfway through the project, and to bring in a blue, it would have probably looked pretty nice on this particular fabric, but I liked how subtle it was on that little morsel on that other panel. So I decided I'm going to stick with the cream. This really is a great way to test things out too, if you wanted to do a throw rug or something, you know, a bit bigger, or a cushion or a wall hanging. This is a really good way of creating some little morsels of ideas, and then things that really you're happy with, you could then incorporate in a bigger project. Plus you get a bag or a container to store things in, which is always a bonus. So you should always try and, actually there was a word I heard on a video, stack your needle. I thought, oh, I haven't heard that term. So why pushing your needle up and down, rocking it through the fabric, picking up fabric as you go. This term popped up, stacking the needle. So I'm going to try and use that in my terminology because apparently it's a traditional word. Weaving your needle through or rocking it through helps keep a straighter stitch line when you do that. I'm running out of thread. So to finish it without a knot, you come back through, that stitch is quite large there. You come back through your work, weaving it or stacking it, and that's it. So then it's just a case of snipping it off, and you've just ended your work without an actual knot. Look at that stitch, that's huge. That's a shocking stitch. But anyway, we're beginners, we're learning. So that's it. That's how you start and finish changing your thread. Now, if I had have just wanted to change thread, and I might be able to do it if I pull this back out. Yep, I can. This is how you add a new thread in. So I might just pull that out. Oh no, I'll leave it. That stitch is annoying me. Yeah, I'm going to snip it out and go back a little bit because it's such a big stitch. So just bear with me as I just back that. So if you were coming along and you've run out of thread, this is how they would join in a new thread. So you would literally use every little morsel bar a tiny little tail. So all they do is they would come up back here. I'm going to get rid of my glasses so I can see. Oh no, you've got to have the thread on the top. See, instinct is to come from underneath, but you're actually coming from here. I think I've got this right. You better watch the video. If you are interested in doing it in the traditional manner, I'd recommend you watch the video. There we go. So we've woven over the top of those last few stitches. Then we're going to carry on our merry way, and I can fix that big stitch. That's better. So there we go. That's how you weave in your new stitch with no knots. How clever is that? And snip. There we go. I hope I did that right. You better watch the video just in case. Oops, now we got a little knot. Don't be doing that, please don't do that. There we go. As we come back along this bottom. So the design itself is pretty straightforward. It'll be just following the marks, and that'll give me those nice waves. I think the stencil is actually called Waves. It has a Japanese name, but I'm not going to insult their culture by pronouncing it with my Australian Aussie country girl slang with a hint of German in there from my grandmother. As my school teacher would say when I was in grade 1, her accent is a little messed up, and they put it down to the fact that I grew up with my grandparents on the farm briefly, and they had that German accent. So I'm just going to weave back to where that first wave, ow, oh goodness. Yeah, there we go. And I might just step back. Oh, that did dig in. I felt that. And away we go. Okay, let's zoom up a little bit so you're not missing the whole image of it coming together. There we go. Oh, that really jabbed me. That was so close to going under my fingernail, which would have been very disappointing. So come up over here, and we're on the second wave. Oh, gee. Ouch, 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 ouch. Poor finger. Poor little thumb. There we go. One wave done. Now the next one. It's very therapeutic. Because you don't have to think too much. When you're doing flowers and things like that, you're creating them literally as you go. You're constantly thinking about your next stitch and your shape and where you're going to head with it. But this is just, yeah. Really relaxing. Makes a change. Okay, and yet you still end up with these gorgeous designs. It's lovely. I wonder if I've got enough thread to get me around. No, I don't, but I would have enough thread to do this little corner, so I might just pop over here and get these few little stitches here. So to finish that off, you would come back through, weaving over those stitches. And therefore no knot would be needed. Just winding it back through. You do get that thicker little spot, so I guess it comes down to personal preference. Do you like knowing that that's a bit thicker and you can see where it is? I think I'm going to continue with this method, because then when I look at this panel I can say, well, where it's thicker is where I've come back through my thread. where it's cleaner and you can't see that extra thickness. That's using the modern method where we put a little knot in behind and away we go again, starting, stopping, just little knots as we go. Where this is more about the traditional way of doing the stitching. So yeah, I love it. How are we going for time? Plenty of time. So what I might do is we'll have a look at some of these other little spots and what we can do to decorate them. Now, might do an overcast stitch on this because it's marbled and dyed. It's really hard to match a blue that works all the way around. So I didn't overcast this little edge because I thought I'll just use the crochet cotton. So I'm just trying to keep it as even as I can. And that will be the way I secure this edge from potentially fraying. Okay. Got some friends coming down from Hervey Bay today. They're staying with some of their rallies for a few days, but they're going to call through and say hello. So that'll be good. Sit around and have a little catch up. Sort of half expecting them just before lunch, I think. Depends what time they get away. It's a good, comfortable 4-hour drive if you're going to stop for a toilet break on the way. It's a nice drive to come back down into Brisbane. Well, is that ever a nice drive, especially when you're coming from Hervey Bay? So it'll be lovely to catch up with them. I think they're down for about 4 days. Let me just snip that little bit off. Yeah, that's good. That will secure those little threads. I pulled my denim jacket out of the cupboard the other morning to wear because it was a bit cool, and it sort of was just enough of a cover to take the edge off of the weather. It's not a warm jacket by all means, but if it's just a little breezy, it's more than enough. And all I could do as I looked at myself in the mirror was think about what stitches I could put on it. But then I quickly remembered the pain on my fingers to do that base. And I was like, steady down, girl. Just wear the jacket. Put the jacket back in the cupboard. But I was starting to think about stitching it, which would be fun. Okay, so I'm just ending that off there. Now, what else can we do? I think we will do just a running stitch around the perimeter of that little one there. I think that would look good. Then the floral, what do we do with that? Let's just do this first. Yeah, I think that'll be. I've gone quiet. I'm thinking about the next piece. Now we've usually just overcast those pieces. I don't want to camphor quilt it or boro stitch it. Let's get the right name for the right culture. Japanese boro, Indian camphor is the difference. It's like numerous lines of stitching, securing layers of fabric. do we do an overcast this? We've got to get some borrow stitch on this piece. It might have to be down the bottom. Maybe we borrow stitch across all of that in one move, you know, right through. So that's sort of just one big stitched area instead of focusing on a patch as such. I could probably use those little lines on that print as my guide and then just continue onto the cream. Okay, so we can finish that off. Let's have a look down the bottom here. Or do we... Maybe I do that again. I think I will. I think I'm going to do a running stitch edge on this. I have secured it with thread, so it's not going to fray. It's been overcast stitch right around the outer edge, because it certainly is a fabric that would fall apart pretty quickly if it didn't have that. Yeah, that's good. That's it. And now we just whip up this side. I'm so glad that I didn't stitch the panels together like the lining, where I would have lost ½ inch of design space around the perimeter of the square. So in total, 1 inch would have come off of it. I'm so pleased I didn't do that, because just it's given me just that little bit extra space. It would have been a shame to have stitching disappear into a seam. So I'm really happy with that decision. So if you did want to stitch it into the seam and you wanted to see exactly this, when you cut your box or your panels, make them 7.5 inches, so you can have a little half here, and then this is your size. But I think you'd then cut it and go, no, I want to see it all. I think, I don't know, I like the idea that we've got these seams exposed. Just gives it a little bit more of interest. You could easily put some card in there too if you really were worried that, let's say you wanted to store scissors or something and your scissors are quite heavy. You might need to slide in amongst all these layers some stiff cardboard or even some plastic sheeting that's quite rigid, and that would then give your box a nice, you know, structure that you could then, oh goodness me, get this needle out. I stacked it that much that I could hardly pull it out. Yeah, you could then pop your needle, your scissors in your little box, or pens, and you'd have a stitched outer. You could probably even get yourself a see, I'm just leaning over here. I've got this little container that is metal. What's stopping you creating a box and this slides in and then the lining goes in? So inside you've got the structure, but on the outside it looks like it's all, now I've created a mess. I've lifted that out and everything's leaning against it. Yeah, just something to think about. There'd be ways, I think, of making it very rigid, but it still would have that soft textile look. And then you could pop, yeah, scissors in. Okay, there we go. So that's done. So I've just got to work out what we're going to do down the bottom here. Definitely want borrow stitch. So let's get ourselves some cotton. I might draw my lines. I'm sort of enjoying the fact that I have this reasonably straight stitching coming out. So I'm just going to draw myself a bit of a stitch line. Can't hurt. I really like the finish. That'll work well. That'll go right through those spots. So I can just continue on there. And there, that will work. That's nice. Okay, so we've got our lines. So let's just start down here. And away we go. This piece is coming together quite quickly. Will I be adding more little decorative bits to it? That's a good question. I don't know. Does it need anything? Could probably have a look down here on this corner. But I don't know. Does it need anything else? Gone quiet and thinking. Trying to focus on a straight line, but I'm also glancing around the piece thinking, well, do I need more texture? I don't know. Could probably put a little bit of pale blue down here just to break up these beiges. Be one suggestion. Okay, so the next row will be whether we go all the way through to that blue. Geez, this mat is slipping. I don't know why. Never really noticed it do that in the past. I know I'm putting a bit of energy behind this needle because I've got so many layers. Maybe the work I've been doing before is not as thick, and I certainly feel like I'm working hard with this style of stitching. Okay. Question is, do we continue? Yeah. Let's just mosey on along here. Oh, that's so thick. My poor fingers. Might skim through there a little bit. Just allow my fingers not to have to work so hard. I guess you're wondering, did the girl get any cleaning done yesterday? Nope, nothing. Absolutely nothing. What did I do yesterday? I don't know. The whole day just disappeared. I was in one of those moods. I just floated around. I moved things from side to side, picked things up, put them back down, wandered out of a room into another room. You know those days. I might finish that because if I come back there, I think it'll be difficult to catch the straight line that is drawn the other side. So I'm going to finish that off. And I'm going to thread up again. And might jump up and turn my iron on, because then I can iron this little bit here, get rid of those lines, and we might have a little play with some morsels and potentially add a little bit of blue that we can put an X on to keep us, oh goodness, a knot is what we need. A knot, please. It's a beautiful fabric, this cream. It's quite dense. It's probably the right word. But it's got a little pattern through it as well. It's very nice. Lots of lines within the fabric. But they're not continual lines, they're like little strokes, disappearing and coming back, and okay. Oh gosh, the layers, the layers, the layers. I've seen some people on YouTube that make these styles of bags and sell them, but I tell you, you couldn't do it with hand sewing. Well, you could, but boy, what are we up to? Video, I don't know, 8? Does that make sense? Is this video 8? Video 8 or 9, I don't know, I've lost track. And so that's 9 days of work, an hour per video, and then I've been doing homework in amongst it. So yeah, I sort of feel like I need a third row there, but I don't think I've got the space to do it. Yeah, I do. Does that look odd? It's not the same spacing. Do I just do this? Will I even notice it once it goes on the bag? Does it really matter? So I feel like I could do more stitching. I'm going to do it. I'm going to come back through. I just feel like it needs a little bit more. And then I'll probably want to do a fourth line through there, you know. Now I'm going to finish my thread. I'm not going to go any further than the blue. So the blue will have, I think, another line go through, so it'll be quite densely stitched, but then the 2 stitches will continue on into the cream where that's not as dense. Does that make sense? Of course it does. Let me just turn my little iron on. Okay, my PowerPoint would have to be all the way down there. Hold that thought, everyone. Won't be a moment. I know what I did yesterday. I mended a top. I'm very slack. I don't usually mend things. I'm a bit, you know. I've got this like lightweight tunicky sarongy thing that I wear over just a little singlet with just 3/4 jeans, right? This is pretty much my uniform of life. Anyway, it's got a shoulder seam and then the side seams with the big opening for your arms. Very lightweight, very Queensland, cool to wear. And the side seam has just been slowly getting smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point where I put this blouse on and I went to the shops. I come home and I thought, gee, the fabric's flipping around a bit. Let me draw you a picture. Like, here we are getting sidetracked now. So what happened is it's pretty much a big rectangle. Don't tell me I'm running out of ink. With a slight shaping. So that's all it is. It's just a big piece. And it's got, you know, a beautiful big print on it in many, many colours, and there's little diamantes everywhere. It's just beautiful. I've worn it to death. Now there's a side seam here and here, so it sort of brings it in a little bit around your body, and of course then you've got your shoulder seam here and here. Well, this side seam has just slowly been breaking down. I've had this thing for years, and it's got to the point where there was a tiny little bit here still attached. I don't think the side seam goes to the bottom. I think it sort of flips out there. It's open, yeah. So let me just adjust that, because, you know, we can. So it got to the point where that is all that was left. That. So I've gone to the shops, bought my groceries, and I've sort of felt like I had fabric flipping everywhere. And I've got home and I just happened to walk past the mirror, and I just glanced to my side and my entire side was open. So looking under my arm, so if the arm is there and my body's here, the fabric was caught here. All of this is just flapping away in the breeze with a little catched in point there. Anyway, doesn't make sense when I draw it like that, but you get the general gist of it. Yes, very disappointing. Have I got a thread under there? Is that a blue thread caught in there? Oh my goodness, I can see it. Yeah, it is, look. Can I get it out? It's like trying to get a splinter out. I can see the end, but I can't really grab it. Might need to get some tweezers, or have I got it? Come on. I bet that running stitch goes through it. There's some tweezers. Can you see it? Can you see it there? There's a little blue thread. That's going to bug me. Let's see if I can get it with the tweezers. Come on. You'd be thinking, if you just tuned in, what is that girl doing? I'm going to have to get it out off camera because this is just wasting time. I don't even think those tweezers are grabbing it. Oh, here we go. Something happened. Oh, goodness sakes. Come on. Come on, little guy. There he is. See, look. Oh, I got him. Oh, my goodness. I probably would never have noticed that once it was made into a box, but I think think I just ironed out some lines. Oh my goodness, it's just going downhill fast. I forgot that these were here. Let's get them back into play. What am I doing? This line here is the one I want. All right, we're back. Oh, I tell you. Now, what was I going to do? I want to know if I should put a little bit of blue down here. What do we got in the way of little bits? Where do we put him? Sort of feel like over there, to be honest. Yeah, or down there. It's going to have an X in him. I sort of like him there. I like how that's clean there, and that, yeah, that's where he's going. So I put my little classic X marks the spot. I'll hold him into position. Just a little pop of something, a morsel. There we go. Now we might just come back up here and join in and then carry on with our Sashiko stitching. Like so. There we go. So that wave is done. I'll just do this one up here next. I know it might look from the outside, you know, tedious, all these little stitches, but actually it is quite quick, especially once you thread your needle up, or stack your needle is, I believe, the word we should be using. It's very effective. Are my stitches the right consistent length? No. I'd say if I had a master of the stitch come over my work, they'd be like, can't half tell. You're a bit of a rogue. Okay. Now where will I go? I think I will continue back over that wave. Head back where I came from. Like so. So how long have we got? So we've got about a quarter of an hour, 15 minutes. So I'll just keep stitching. We'll see how much we get done. Then my homework will be to finish it. And then it too can be attached to the bag and stitched into position. And remembering, if you're doing that, just take your time to line up all your corners of your bag with some pins to hold it into position. Now, I think I started off with a knot, didn't I? See, look, I've already forgotten. I'm going to finish with a knot. I've already forgotten the traditional way. Goodness sakes, I started out so good. Oh, I've just gone off the rails. There's no hope for me. It is fun experimenting, but this little piece of cotton left, I'm going to try and get this little section done next. Lovely. The sun is coming up. Must be about 6:30 in the morning. The sun is up and the day has started. It looks like a beautiful day. The last couple of days have been really nice. I'm sure by the time you see this video, because I am filming ahead, it'll be a rainy day. You'll be looking out your window, Brisbane ladies, and be thinking, what is that girl talking about? Well, today it's a sunny day. Who knows what it'll be like when you actually watch the video. Once again, she's doing the traditional the modern knot to finish her work. She's lost her way already. I saw advertised, actually popped up on Facebook, a tour to Japan. There must be a big quilt expo on over there that many go to on these tours. Wouldn't that be a little bit nice? That's the ink gone. How good does that look? Very subtle. Beautiful. Being a bit sneaky here. Another term I've heard on a few videos, especially when you start looking at the YouTubers that focus on the technique of everything. Like their video might only be about 15 minutes and it's all about the technique of things, real tutorial type things, is smashing the thread. Like really giving your thread a bit of a rub and it settles it into the fabric. There's a few that use that term as well. So smash down your thread so it looks like it's been sitting there for some time. I thought that was quite interesting as well. Doesn't look like it's just sitting on top of the fabric. It's within the fabric, so it helps that. There's a little snippet that's escaped. Can't have that. And the girl does another knot. I might do this line down here before I forget all about it. Get that stitched in. We're stacking the needle with fabric as we rock up and down. Oh boy, we're getting professional now. We're learning. You're learning with me. There we go. Let me know in the comments if you already use the word stacking the needle before I had a light bulb moment. And let me know if you use the word smashing the thread so that it blends in with the fabrics and looks like it's been there forever. That'll tell me that you hang out in very professional circles, I think, or you've had a master teach you somewhere along the line. Okay, I'm going to knot that off like so. And then I can carry on with more wave. Got 10 minutes. How much can I do in 10 minutes? That'll give you a bit of an idea of the time that goes into these pieces. So just rocking my needle through, trying to use my new big words. It's a curve, so I can't rock too far. I can hear my phone buzzing. I wonder if my friends have hopped on the road yet and are on their way. Now it's come unthreaded. So I've started rushing. Don't rush, girl. It's supposed to be a gentle, relaxing process, not a race to the finish line. I love how the more you stitch these pieces, the more it feels like one piece. Like this has just got such a nice substantial feel to it. I'm a bit of a fan of putting felt in behind my work. It really gives it a nice chunky feel. You don't have to go all the way through the piece and out the other side. You can find that your stitches can slither through that felt in the between the layers, and it sort of still feels like you've stitched. Does that make sense? Probably doesn't make sense. I got a little bit of thread there. Let's get him through. Might be able to do this side. There you go. I can see more projects based on this style of embroidery in my future. I really can. I'm very much attracted to these colours, the blues and the beiges, and even a pop of red. So I can see what would be better as a trip to Japan, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be nice? Okay. We can iron a little bit more out. We can take that out and that out. Okay, more thread. Oh, it's just endless, isn't it? Constantly threading needles. Oh, come on. Because I'm rushing now, because I've only got a few minutes. Okay. And away we go again. I might start over here, so then I end up over here when I do the U-turn to come back. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. Breakfast time. I have to come up with something for morning tea for my friends. I do have a pumpkin. I wonder if I make some pumpkin scones. That wouldn't be too hard to do. It'd be fun. I haven't made scones for ages. I have a very good recipe too. I don't know if the Queensland girls will know this. Well, probably most Australian ladies will know this. We had a premier in our state by the name of Joe Bjelke-Petersen and his wife, Lady Flo Bjelke-Petersen. She was famous for this pumpkin scone recipe. They were country folk that were in the Kingaroy region, and my grandmother and grandfather were friends of theirs. So it was sort of, I don't really know them, but my family knew them because they were all sort of around the same age and raised their children together. I think my mum was in John Bjelke-Petersen's class at school in Kingaroy. So anyway, beside the point. And they all went to the same church in Kingaroy. So I think I mentioned in a previous video, everyone was raising money for the nursing home that they built. And Lady Flo was in amongst it. So often these pumpkin scones, of which she became famous for that particular recipe, was featured whenever there was media in town. I sort of got the feeling that these pumpkin scones would be mentioned, or she would have made it for the media, just that country hospitality. So anyway, we'll I've got that recipe in a book somewhere, so I might dig it out and make it. That'd be nice, some warm pumpkin scones to go with lunch. I really should clean the house, that's what I should do. So I may not end up with much time because I should clean the house yesterday. I could have had time for scones today, so I don't make it easy on myself, do I? We've still got time. I'm not going until it's finished. I'm not letting you out of class until we're finished. Shouldn't be too long now. We're closing in on it, and this panel is done. I won't have any homework other than stitching it onto the bag. I might save that for the next video because I don't think I actually did that. I pinned it all, then I went away and stitched. I think I'll show you how I do that. And then by the time I've finished most of that, we can then piece together the next panel and the final panel. How exciting. Then we have to really have a think about these loops, what size they're going to be. I might have to grab out my notes and see what I wrote down, but I guess we can do whatever we want. Are we going to embellish them, or are we going to keep them quite simple? Is there enough? Oh, my stomach. I am hungry. I hope you didn't hear that. Yeah, is there enough happening on the sides of the bag that the loops could be quite simple? The other thing I need to have a think about is the strap. Maybe the strap is simple and the loops, that's crooked. The loops could be a little decorative. I don't have much thread here. I think I will just get Speaking of that nursing home, I remember going to visit my grandmother in the nursing home, and at this stage Lady Flo was also in the nursing home, and both had their faculties right through pretty much to the end. And when I got there, grandma wasn't in a room, and the nurse said, oh, they're down in the library, they're all playing Scrabble. I thought, okay, no worries. So I wandered down to the common room, and here there were 4 ladies sitting around this Scrabble game, and oh boy, it was on. There was quite a heated debate over some words, like Scrabble does. There's always a debate over, is the word actually a word? And here's Lady Flo, my grandmother, and 2 other ladies having quite a heated discussion. It was really funny. I just sort of stood there quietly watching because it was pretty cute. And then Grandma spotted me and face lit up and introduced me, and I was like, hello ladies, I think you're having quite a debate here. Yes. Then they wanted me to get involved, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not saying anything. And my grandmother, she was quite a strong lady, she was like, well, matter of fact, I need to go now. And that was it. She hopped up from the game. She was halfway through the Scrabble game. I'm like, Grandma, stay and finish your Scrabble. No, until they finish their discussion, the game can't proceed. And that was it. She walked out. Oh, I thought, oh my goodness. So they're sitting there, these 3 ladies, one being Lady Flo, and they couldn't do anything. Grandma had left the building. So she hopped up off of a chair and into her wheelie chair, and she's like, take me back to my room. So I don't know what ended up happening, if they just carried on without her. I'm sure that would have gone down well. But oh my goodness. So yeah, it made me giggle. The world stopped because my grandmother left the room. I don't know, I can't remember whose word it was that was in question, but it was pretty funny. I've done it. I have done it. I'm to the end and we've just hit the hour. So there you go. When I said we had 10 minutes to go, it took 10 minutes to do that portion of work. So yeah, it's reasonably quick, but yeah, this takes time. There we go. Done. Let's apply the iron. Beautiful. I love it. There we go. Another piece done. Where's my little bag? Let's zoom out a little bit so we get more of a view. Yeah, it all matches. It all works. And there's the little bag with the panel. Yep. I might leave it at that. And what I'll do for the next video is we'll start with the pinning of it and how I stitched it. I've still left the top edges open because of course that's where the little loops have got to go in. So you'd start here and away you go. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. I better go. I've got some chores to do for my guests and I will see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye for now.